Good morning, this is Faith at Faith and Books, and I'm going to do a review of this book that I just finished reading for Springathon. It's called Radical Prunings by Bonnie Thomas Abbott. And I picked this up because I thought it was going to be my nonfiction, because I thought it was a collection of letters written to a gardening columnist. But look on the front, it says a novel. You think that would have clued me in. But I didn't realize that. My eye kept jumping to officious advice from the Contessa of Compost. Anyway, it's a novel, and it's just a very fluffy thing. It's written in the form of a newsletter with a garden master garden answering readers' letters, questions about gardening. It's very silly. It's very clever. It's bizarre. It's just really bizarre. It's beautifully, done though. It's got like this sort of pastiche of, old botanical drawings and sketches, and illustrations like that, and like even the side, it looks like sort of a gardening calendar or something. It's got the months written along. Just the whole thing is done really well like that. It's very funny. The columnist is Mertensia corydalis, like a Latin name for a plant. And it's just sort of her 2 years in her life writing this column, and the silly escapades of her. She's got an assistant, Miss Vong, and who's Vietnamese, and Miss Vong's brother, who's always called Tran. I don't know why. Miss Vong's first name, I think we eventually find out, is Francine. But anyway, so we learn about them and their funny escapades. And we learn about the author's ex-husband, Norton, and his new wife, which she has trouble dealing with. And we eventually learn about her brother and her mother. But it's very funny. And the weird thing is, it's real gardening advice. Like, the questions that come in are funny, but the advice that she gives in response to them is actually real advice. So it's the quirkiest book. I mean, it's one of the quirkiest books I think I've ever read, but it's quite funny. There's a lot of humor in it. Very clever. So I enjoyed it, but it's definitely a novel, although it does have actual advice in it. So that was a fun read, and because it was so fluffy and in these short chapters of sort of newsletter, dear readers, and then and then letters, she'd respond to letters. It was really easy to just pick up and read a couple of chapters and then put down. Everything's real short and easy to read. So I enjoyed it, but I don't know if it qualifies for nonfiction nature writing. But a really strange book. And if you want humor and you like gardening, you'll enjoy it. I just picked it up at a book haul in November at a used bookstore. So, but I'm not going to give it away. I think I'll keep it. It's just pretty. It's just a pretty book too. Anyway, so Radical Prunings. It was a fun, very fluffy garden read. It's for a very particular audience. Now that's part of Springathon. I think Springathon just goes through next Monday. I forget. It was only a 2-week thing. So I am reading Tarka the Otter, which is also fiction. And I'm only up to I'm in chapter 8, in the middle of chapter 8. I've been trying to read a chapter a day. Yesterday I read a chapter and about a half. This is beautiful woodcut art in it, illustrations in it. This is hard for me to read. My eyes are getting super bad, and just the way the print is, and I need like a nice crisp white background, or a very bright light. And so I find that it's really slowed my pace of reading, especially for this book, the way it's set up. But I'm enjoying it. It's a very, I don't know, I'll give a review when I'm done, but it's a dark book. very gritty, realistic, but very poetically told. So I'm enjoying it. I am really enjoying it. I don't know if I'll get it done in time, but I am enjoying it and I'm moving steadily through it. And then just a really quick update. I got 2 books for Mother's Day. One is this one, A Beginner's Guide to Raising Chickens, because next week I'm supposed to get my chickens, and I'm still trying to fill out all the variance permission. What do I want to say? I'm still trying to fill out the application and all the things that go with it. Hopefully today. I have a couple of things I have to figure out. Like in the instructions, they say you cannot use flash drives for your photos. You have to take photos of your yard. But then over the phone, the guy told me, yes, use the USB. So when I told it to my husband, he's like, are you sure? You better double check, because it says right there in black and white, it must be on a CD and not a flash drive. So I've got to call. And if you call, they're not going to call you back the same day. So it's Friday, so they're going to call me on Monday. And then we still have to fill out the affidavit and get that notarized. It's so much. It's really dumb. Anyway, I thought this was sweet of my son to give me this so I can learn to raise backyard chickens. And I'm just convinced in my heart that the chickens are just going to get eaten by a fox. And this will all be sort of an absurd exercise. But what the heck? You only live once, right? And then the other book that I got for Mother's Day that my daughter did order for me, and I've already started reading, is Hellcat Tales, which is a follow-up to The Eagle Against the Sun, which is about the war with Japan and during World War II. And this is the memoir of a guy who's just like my father, was a Navy pilot. He's not a writer, that's for sure. I think this is kind of self-published. It's called, I looked it up. I mean, I'm going through and like, I'm being an editor when he spells a word wrong or something. Or just some of his sentence structure is really bad. But it's, where was it? Oh, here we go. Military Monograph 1, Bennington, Vermont. Merriam Press. So anyway, it seems kind of self-published, but even though it isn't written very well, it's written in a very breezy, conversational way. And the subject matter itself is just really, really interesting. So he's starting off when he's a young kid, he's a young man, and he decides to volunteer for the Navy, and he wants to become a pilot. And I'm just at the earliest part where he's just being trained. And the reason why he went into the Navy instead of the Army Air Force is the Army Air Force said that they would give you 100 flying hours before you went into battle, and the Navy said 400. And he had never flown a plane before. He just thought it would be a neat idea. And so he really thought, I would really rather have lots of experience under my belt before going into battle. So that's what made him choose the Navy. Anyway, interesting story. So, all right, so that's it for my little update and my review of Radical Prunings, which was actually a really funny book, very clever. So I recommend. All right, she's a little bit naughty at times, a little bit scathing at times, but I enjoyed it. So, all right, talk to you later. Take care. Bye.